Alright, so for some reason, the other video decided to cut out at the most inopportune moment. As soon as we got to page 3, but have no fear, I am back, and we are moving on. So page 3, example 1a. A says that y is equal to the absolute value of x minus 5 plus 4. Alright, so, what's step 1? Step 1. How do we graph this, man? We're going to find a parent graph. Parent graph. So a parent graph is what happens when you take away all the numbers. So if I take away my negative 5 and my positive 4, what am I left with? Bada bing, bada boom. I'm left with y is equal to absolute value of x. Now they're not actually away, they're still here, but that was just for a parent graph. So parent graph done. We have found our parent graph. So what does a parent graph look like? I'm actually going to write this in a different color. So it all looks pretty. So y is equal to absolute value of, that's our parent graph. We know the absolute value of x because we already have it memorized, right? It's for the quiz, memorizing it. Absolute value of x looks like that. All right. So what is step 2? Now we need to find our shifts. So, the first thing we're going to look at is our inside. What is attached to our x? A negative 5 is attached to our x. So what does that mean? If it's attached to our x, we know it's a horizontal shift. So it's a horizontal shift. And how much does it shift? Well, horizontal shifts are opposite of what we think. So if it's a negative number, it's going to do the opposite. It's going to move right 5. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, done. Good. Now, if we add on that last bit, our plus 4 is being added to the quantity of our x, and that means it is a vertical shift, and vertical shifts do what we expect. If it's positive, it goes up. We go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So our new origin is at 5, 4. And what does our graph look like? It looks like our parent graph, only shifted. So we go over and over the other way. Done. So our red drawing is what this graph looks like. We found our parent graph. Check. We found our shift. We found our horizontal and vertical. Done. We shift it. We draw it. We're happy. So example 1 is done. Alright, so we're going to move on to letter B. So example 1B. What does B say? Pretend that there's a y there. Y is equal to 5 plus our square root of x plus 2. So step 1, parent graph, parent graph. What's our parent graph look like? Well, that's what happens when we take away all our numbers. So if we take away our numbers, we're just left with y is equal to the square root of x. So y is equal to the square root of x. That's going to be our parent graph. So what does our parent graph look like when we graph it? Well, the square root of x is kind of our whoop going off to the side. So it starts at 0, 0. And kind of shoots off to the right. That's our parent graph. Alright, we found our parent graph. Good. 2, shifts. What do our shifts look like? Alright, well, if we look at y is equal to, start off small, our square root of x plus 2. We know the plus 2 is attached to our x. So if it's attached to our x, we're dealing with horizontal. And we know horizontal do opposite of what we think. So if it's a positive 2, we're moving left 2, 1, 2. Good. So now we're going to add on our last component, a plus 5. And if we're adding it to our quantity of x, what are we going to do? It's a vertical shift of a plus 5 means we're going up 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means our new starting point is at that dot. And what does the graph look like? It looks like a blue graph. blue graph. Whoosh, shooting off to the right. So we have found that this graph looks like this. All it is our parent graph shifted in two different directions, a horizontal direction and a vertical direction. There you have it, folks. Alright, moving on to the next one. I'm actually going to have you guys do this on your own and come back. Just pause me. I'm still going to be here. We're looking at example 1, letter C. So you guys will be doing y is equal to 3 plus 1 over x plus 1. So what's step 1? Parent graph. What's your step 2? Find your shifts. So pause me and then come on right back. Alright, you should have paused me. If not, seriously pause me. Try it on your own. See if you can get the parent graph down. If you get the parent graph down, then work on the shifts. Good. Pause me. And now we're going to go in for real. Alright, so our parent graph, it's what happens when we take away all our numbers. If we take away our numbers, we're just left with 1 over x. How do we know that? Well, I'm going to take away my 3, and I'm going to take away my plus 1. 1 over x. Brilliant. So there we have it. Our parent graph is 1 over x. And what do we know our parent graph looks like? Well, we have that weird kind of center point at 0, 0. Doesn't ever touch 0 because you can't have 1 over 0. No bueno. So our graph kind of comes down, shoots off to the right, comes in from the left, shoots down. So that's what our parent graph looks like. That's what we know our new graph is going to look like. It's just going to be shifted. And what are the shifts? Well, if we have y is equal to 1 over x plus 1, our 1 is attached to our x. So we know it's going to be a horizontal shift of how much? Oh, it's going positive 1, doing opposite of what I think. I'm going to go left 1. And now, if I have y is equal to 3 plus my quantity, 1 over x plus 1, it's added to my quantity of x. So what does that mean? It's my vertical shift. Vertical shift of how many? Positive 3. So I'm going up 3. So I've gone left 1 and I've gone up 3. 1, 2, 3. So my new center point that I have to avoid is here. So if I kind of draw out my dots, I have to avoid these lines. So that means I'm coming in from the top and going off to the right. Coming in from the left and going down. So my new red graph is equal to this. It looks like my parent, but it's just shifted. It shifted left 1, up 3, bada bing, bada boom, and we're done. We're happy. Alright, let's move on. Let's talk about some dilations. And after we talk about dilations, we're going to talk about reflections. And then I'm going to give you a little break. We're going to change up videos. So you get a little